So really what I want to show today is based on my experience of setting up tons of accounts over the last year with GA4. I want everyone to walk away with a process they could follow to set up their own Google Analytics 4, or at least make their tracking better. We're really going to focus on the essentials. There's so many different features you can utilize, but I really want to focus on the ones I actually use and the ones I feel like are the most important. So we're going to show directly inside of Google Analytics, and we will share the screen and jump into it. So in terms of the presentation here, so for About Me, I'll just do a quick intro. So I run an agency called Exponential Growth, where we do SEO, Google Ads, and Google Analytics 4 setups. We do that for a variety of industries and also for agencies as well. So we'll jump right into the presentation. So I really want to start just kind of with the essentials with the Google Analytics 4 tracking code. So this is always going to be your first step of making sure that's installed properly. Now, there's really two ways you can do it. You could put it inside of Google Tag Manager, which is what we recommend, because you get a lot of additional features when you do it that way. But you could also install it directly into your website template, or if you're using WordPress or another platform, you can use a plugin. So where you go to find that will be in the admin section, and it's under data streams over here on the right. A few months back, Google redid the navigation here, or this admin section. But when you go into data stream, this is going to load the data stream you have, and this is where you can connect your website or apps. For my website here, it's just a web data stream for the website. And then when you click into that, you'll get your measurement ID right here. So this, if you're going to use Google Tag Manager, this is all you need to get Google Analytics 4 set up inside of Google Tag Manager. And then if you want the actual tracking tag, there's a couple ways you can do that. So in this section here, there's installation instructions. And this will give you the actual code script you need if you're going to install this manually on your website. So those are really the two main options. We like Google Tag Manager just because you get access to all the additional features, and you could use Google Tag Manager to make more events and customize your tracking a little bit better than you can without it. So I'm going to walk through just how to set up the tag. We'll start with kind of the basics here. So inside of Google Tag Manager, Google makes it really easy to set up a GA4 just kind of base tag. So all we need to do is go to a new tag and go to tag configuration. And then you'll see right here at the top, the option for Google Analytics. And what we're going to do for this is the Google tag. There's also an option for GA4 events. So later on, we're going to show a little bit on event tracking. And this is where you would go to actually set up individual events. And the way to think about events, they're just different actions you could track on your website. Almost anything can be set up as an event, whether it's a click or watching a video or filling out a form. All of that will be events that you can set up right inside of Google Tag Manager. So for the Google tag, all we need is to paste our ID in here. So that ID we just grabbed in Google Analytics. There are some additional settings, but just for a base setup, if you install the ID, and then all we need to do is add a trigger for all pages. And what this basically says is this code's going to fire on every page on our website. So all of our pages will be tracked. And then we would just click save. Now, I'm going to discard this for now, but that's really just the basics of getting the code installed. Most of you probably have the code installed. So really where you're going to focus more is on the settings inside of GA4. So I kind of like to think about the setup in a few phases. There's the admin and settings. Then you have your event and conversion tracking. And then the final step is configuring reports and explorations inside of GA4. So after you have all your data tracking, your event set up, you can actually customize a lot of the reports directly in GA4 to kind of find the data and visualize the data a little bit better that you just set up. So we're going to start going through the key features in the settings area. So the first thing I like to do is, if we look at this menu here, you can kind of go down this list in order. So under property, it's mostly going to be just details about access and the name of the property. So really, we're going to start under data collection and data streams. So inside of your data stream, you have a variety of features that are useful. The first one, this is kind of a newer thing with GA4 that we didn't have in Universal Analytics, is enhanced measurement. So Google tried to make it easy to get additional data and events right out of the box with GA4 without having to use Google Tag Manager or manually creating these events. So if we look at these and click on the settings here, These are all the additional events, and you do have the definitions of what they're going to track that you can get by default just by checking these checkboxes here. Now, this is the best way to do it just as a base level. If you want to get tracking quickly, I still prefer to set up some of these events using Google Tag Manager because you can customize them a little bit more. For scroll tracking, for example, Google's going to track a visitor getting to the bottom of the page. But if you want to customize scroll depth intervals, like let's say you want to know every 10% somebody scrolls down a page, you have more control in Google Tag Manager to customize these. But just to get the base tracking done, this can be just a really quick way. You just install the code, check all these boxes, and now you have some more custom data that in the past you would have to do manually. So I recommend using this, but then taking a close look and customizing the ones that you feel like you want more granularity on. Form tracking would be the one I'm sometimes hesitant to use the default one. This one tends to work better if you do use Google Tag Manager and you actually custom track your forms. But if you're in a rush or you're just in a pinch and you need to get some base data, it's fine to just check this off and see what the data looks like. But you'll see you get outbound clicks, video engagement on video players. So if someone's clicking a video and watching it, PDF downloads, all of these things that we used to have to use Tag Manager for, you can quickly just toggle on and get some of that data. Now I'm working on a Google Tag Manager template that you'll be able to just upload into your own Google Tag Manager account that will have custom versions of each of these events with the enhanced data I like to do. So we should be done with that soon, which will make it much easier to actually customize these events instead of just relying on enhanced measurement. So you have the option to modify and create events here, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do that a little bit later. These you're most likely not going to need to use as often, but configure tag settings is particularly important. And this is a little bit buried in here. When you open up configure tag settings, this is going to take you to a screen with a few options. What I like to do is click show more, and there's actually a few more items available that are a little bit hidden. So for IP address filtering, if you want to filter out your team and clients or any internal traffic, this is where you actually have to go to set up that IP filter. It's a lot different than it used to be in Universal Analytics. Really, all you need to do here is once you click into this, you can create a filter, you can name it, and you have all the functionality here to set up IPs, and you could set up multiple IP addresses, really as many as you want. And that's all done through this screen now. This is particularly important too, because if you're visiting your website a lot or you're working on it, you're going to tend to skew your data. And this a lot of times can get missed because it's not in the filter area, it's under here. There is one more step with IP filtering. So I'll show that and I'll come back here. After you set up your filter, you do have to go to data filters here. And then you'll see this. By default, this won't be set to active. It'll be set to testing. So you do have to click into this and click active to activate the IP filter. So there's actually a two-step process now. And this one's also easy to miss after you've set up your IP addresses. If you don't toggle this on to active, the IPs won't actually be blocked. So if we go back to the data stream, so let's go back to configure tag settings. And we'll go to show more. So that's kind of the basics of IP filtering. You could add as many as you want. The other thing I really like in here is session timeout. So this gives you some control over a couple different factors. So session timeout, I don't particularly change too often. You do have options to. I tend to leave it on the default of 30 minutes. This is just basically the time where if someone's inactive for this amount of time, a new session will start when they come back to the website. So some of you may want to increase or decrease this. What I really like to do is adjust the engaged session timer. So engaged sessions are a new metric in GA4 that try to factor in a variety of engagement metrics. One of those is how long someone stays on a page. The other one is how many pages they view or if they convert. If they do any of those three things, it'll count as an engaged session. By default, Google sets the engagement timer to just 10 seconds. So if somebody spends 10 seconds on your website, they're considered engaged. But you actually have control over this up to a minute. I tend to like to do about 30 seconds for my website. This will really vary based on your industry and your website goals. But this is important to look at because 10 seconds may not be enough for your website, where now you're not really getting a good picture on if people are really engaged. So you do have control to set this to any interval that you want. I tend to like to do 30 seconds, but it definitely will make that engaged session metric little bit more accurate to really get a better picture on who's actually engaged with the website and who's leaving the website quickly. So this is a nice feature that sometimes can be buried inside of the settings. Now, there's a few more things in here that you could look at. Those are probably the two most common things that I use in this section. So we'll go back to the main area here now. So that's enhanced measurements and some of these key things you're going to want to do in the settings area. The other things I like to look at are going to be the data collection, retention, and product link sections. So with these, if we close out of this, you'll see the next section is data collection. So this gives you access to a variety of features that you have to opt in for if you want to utilize. And Google does a pretty good job of explaining all of these in detail on what these are. A lot of people are most likely going to enable most of these, but you do have the option to not utilize these if you don't want to. So Google Signals is an interesting one. It gives Google more ways to kind of analyze users and across devices and across platforms. There are some issues sometimes by enabling Google Signals that I found. The biggest one is sometimes when you enable this, what you'll see in your reports, and I'll just navigate to the reports. Right now, I'm not seeing it, but if you see this green check mark, if you see a yellow symbol or something red, that'll usually mean some of your data is not coming through. So Google will apply thresholding sometimes when you use Google Signals, which actually limits the data you can see. So if you run into that issue, the best solution that I found for it is to actually go into the settings, and we're going to go into data display, and it's reporting identity. This is where you can essentially turn off Google Signals in your reports. So what I would do here is switch to device-based. You'll see this blended one. These are all the different things Google is using to track users. So they're using a variety of things. They're Google Signals, user ID, device ID, and this modeling. If you go to device-based, this is more similar to the old model where Google is just using the device ID. This tends to fix the issue if you run into it with Google Signals causing thresholding where you can't see all your data. So it's something you'll have to try out. But the nice thing about this, it doesn't impact the underlying data. You can toggle these on and off. You could switch these at any point. But this, if you do run into that issue where you're not seeing some of your data, switching it to device-based here will allow you to see events and conversions that may be hidden. And that happens quite a bit. But if we go back to collection, so there's some other things here as well that you could look at. There's a new beta actually that I've just started seeing pop up into accounts. I'm still testing this myself. I just enabled it actually recently. There's a few other things here that you can opt into, but this is a pretty quick section. Usually for most websites, you're probably going to opt into most things here and then just move on to the next section. So data import won't be as common for most people, so we're going to skip through that. Data retention is an important one. By default, it's set to 2 months. I like to toggle this over to 14 months so you have year-over-year data. And this is going to impact exploration reports and different features inside of GA4. So this is a quick thing just to switch over to 14 months and get that locked in. Data filters we looked at. So really the way you're going to use this is after you set up that IP filter, this is already going to be here. You're just going to toggle it on to active. You really have two options, internal traffic or developer traffic here. It's not like the filtering system used to be in Universal Analytics where you could make a lot of these custom filters. So that's pretty much it in data collection and all these different aspects here. So those are the kind of the main things I run through when I'm setting up an account. And you could also run through all these things if you're auditing an existing account. I just would go through these one by one and check how the settings are done. A lot of times websites and in Google Analytics 4 accounts that we're not adjusting the data retention, opting into any of the new features like Google Signals, and tweaking any of these timers. So it's a nice thing to be able to audit and then adjust if the account's been running. And then if it's a brand new Google Analytics account, these are things I would typically set up right away so you have it as soon as the account is ready. So the next thing to look at is audience, channel groupings, and reporting identity, which we touched on a little bit. So I'm going to skip events and conversions because we're going to come back to these since they're very important. But there is an audience feature, just like there was in Universal Analytics, where you can create audiences. And the benefit of this is you could analyze these different audiences inside of Google Analytics. You could also import these into Google Ads for remarketing or different campaigns you're running. It's a pretty straightforward process. Once you get in here, you can build your audience with this feature. Google gives you a few of them here and a few ideas to use where you could just in one click get these. You could also create a custom one. And the way this kind of works now, you'll see all the options you have. So let's say we want to do traffic source. You can do that. Let's do source. What I like to do is probably like a source. Let's do session source. So you could do something like this, contains, you want to see all traffic from YouTube only. And we'll just click apply. And you could name the audience at the top. You could set how many days the membership duration is. Google will show you about how many people are in that audience. So very similar to the old analytics. The layout's a little bit different, but you have a ton of options here to set these up. The main use case, again, is if you want to analyze these audiences inside of GA4, or if you want to import these into your Google Ads account, you have those options. Now, custom definitions is another really good feature. So the way I typically will do this is using Google Tag Manager. And one example would be if you set up an event for all form submissions on your website, you can use these custom dimensions to break down which forms those were. So you could set up a custom dimension for form ID, which would allow you to see the different form IDs. So in theory, you could have one event for form submission, and then you could break that form submission down by the ID or by the class or really any available field. So this can be pretty helpful if you don't want to have a lot of top level events here and you want to have like this form submission one and then have the granularity to dig into it further. The other option is you could just set up a top level event for all your different forms, but it gives you some options depending on how you want to lay out your data. So that's all done through custom definitions. And I'll show that really quick. If you set up a GA4 event tag, I'm just going to open an existing one here. So basically, when you set up an event, this is the screen you'll be on, and you put in your measurement ID, and then you're going to name the event however you want it to show up inside of GA4. And then when you get to event parameters, this is how you could send those custom dimensions into GA4. So once you get familiar with this, you can utilize this and send any additional data that you want. So the event parameters are going to be the name that you would want to put in inside here. So once you have your event parameter, you would just create the dimension and name it the exact same thing as you have in Google Tag Manager, and then this will populate. Now, I like to use the variables here. So what this will do is basically it'll automatically pull in the form ID based on whatever form somebody submitted. I also have click text in here, but you could really use any variable inside of Google Tag Manager that's available and that's relevant. So a lot of if we look at some of the things that we have. So for forms, we have quite a few things here. We could set up one for class, for target, for text, for URL. So I would check what data is flowing through your forms. And that's what you can utilize to actually kind of have that breakdown and additional data inside of GA4. So this is a really good feature to get used to. It allows you to lay out your data in different ways. Now, channel groups, this is fairly similar to the way it used to work in Universal Analytics. But you also have the option of defining how Google classifies your traffic. So which source medium should go into which of these buckets. In my opinion, what I've seen, Google does a much better job of doing this now than they did in Universal Analytics. A lot of data, there's more channels. You have video, you have a few different things. You have paid social by default. We used to have to create that in Universal Analytics. But one thing you might do is if you're noticing traffic showing up incorrectly, this is where you would go to redefine where that goes. So if you add a condition, you could do one based on source or medium. And that would tend to be how I would do this here. You basically have the option of using a regex or contains. Let's just say we wanted to do something with like paid Facebook and we had CPC. I'd probably also want to do source and medium here. So it would be source Facebook, medium, CPC. But that really will depend on how your source mediums and how you're using your UTMs. But this is good to get familiar with because you can customize the channels here. You can also add new ones. If you're doing something that maybe you don't like the way Google's defining it or you want to have a new channel, you can name it and then add the conditions. So the way I like to audit this is actually by going into the reports. And then usually what I will do is go under acquisition and go into just the traffic acquisition report. And then by default, we're going to see here all our channels. Now, let's just extend the date range back a little bit. And what this is going to do is show us, yeah, all the channels here. Now I'm seeing quite a few sessions show up as unassigned. So that would usually cause me to investigate what traffic is showing up there. Sometimes that might be Google can't track the traffic, but other times it's things not getting classified properly. So if you hit this plus sign, you could add a secondary dimension for source medium. And this is the way I like to check this. So we're going to do session source medium is the one I like to do. And now we're going to see exactly which source mediums are getting classified to what channel. So right away, I can see Google organic is organic search. That's good. YouTube is showing up as organic video. LinkedIn, even though it says referral, it's showing up under organic social. In Universal Analytics, this would often show up under referral. So Clutch, which is a directory, is showing up as unassigned. So this would be where I would change my default channel grouping rules to have this medium referral profile show up as referral instead. So let's do that now. So if we go back to the admin section, we can head back to channel groups, and we're going to go to this new one here. And then all I would need to do here is look at my referral bucket here. And then we can add an or condition that basically says medium. And we can do exactly matches. You could think about doing contains. I didn't copy that, but let's just do referral. We'll come back and add that. But essentially, we would just do exactly matches or contain. Let's see if I do contain. Sometimes it'll show up. But yeah, that would be what we would do. We would just add this or condition. And now that traffic's going to show up underneath this bucket. So let's actually go back and we'll look at a few other channels there. And that's really the process. It's just going one by one down your channel list to make sure everything is showing up exactly where you want it. So again, we'll add that secondary dimension. We'll do session source medium. And let's see what else we see. So Substack email is showing up properly. AdWords PPC is showing up as paid other. That would be worth investigating. Ideally, that would show up under paid search. I think because the source is AdWords is probably why it's not showing up there. So again, that we could investigate. This rows per page is important as well. This is going to let you see the rest of your data. So let's take a look. Let's actually extend this date range back again so we have the same data. And I'm going to copy this one. So it's under referral profile. So we can do an exact match here. And let's save that and save the group. So now we've adjusted that referral traffic. Because I did a new default channel group, I named it new, but ideally it would be like default channel group updated or something. And this is where you can select it. So if I switch over to the new one, and then let's do the same thing. We'll do traffic source, source medium. And then this will eventually show up under referral, which is what we want. So let's take a look and see if we see anything else here. So a lot of this looks good. Twitter is showing up under organic social, DuckDuckGo under organic search. But this is basically the process I like to go to figure out what I need to do to adjust the default channel groups to make this accurate. And yeah, so all of that is the main thing. So once you're done with that, what I typically like to do next is you have a few options. So attribution settings, I don't tend to change this too often. There is some options here to change click-through conversions, different time intervals. So you can look at this and see if you need to change that. Same thing with attribution models. I usually leave it on data-driven. You could go back to the older last click model if you want, and this is where you would do that. By default, Google's going to give you the data-driven attribution where they're going to try to give credits to different channels and all sorts of sources instead of giving all the credit to just the last click source, the thing that someone did right before converting. So, and actually, if you want to explore the attribution models a little bit further, it's a little bit different than it was in Universal Analytics. It's actually under advertising in the menu. So if we go to advertising, this is going to give us some of those reports we used to have, those multi-channel funnel reports from Universal Analytics. We can see the conversion paths, which is always an interesting report. We can see conversions by channel here. But this one, if we go to view conversion paths, this report is nice to see the exact paths users are taking before converting. You could also see what channels are more early touch points, mid touch points, and late touch points before a conversion. So in my case, the first and last touch tends to be referral. Video is actually the top source in the middle. So video might not get as much credit for conversions if you're looking at a first touch or a last touch attribution, but it actually has an impact of kind of nurturing people and getting them to that last touch. Organic search tends to be more first than last. So this is a kind of interesting way just to see what your other marketing channels are doing. And then this one gives you a nice visual breakdown where you could start to see for these 11 conversions, they did 2 referral sections. This is where it gets interesting, where you could see they started with an organic search and then they did 3 organic social sessions before converting. Google also breaks down the credit it's giving for the data-driven model for each source. So in this case, it's giving 50% to organic search and 50% to organic social. You can see this here. Email was the first thing, but Google is actually giving 0% to email and giving 100% of the credit to referral. So this is just kind of an interesting way to see how that data-driven attribution is impacting things and what channels are getting credit. So you could also do a model comparison, where this is where you can actually compare last click versus data-driven and see how it would reorganize your conversions. In my case, it's actually very similar here. The only thing that gets adjusted a little bit is organic search has 3 in the last click model and actually 3.5 in data-driven. And then organic social goes down to 0.5 in this model. And then you can see the variance here. If we extend this out a little bit, let's see if the data changes. This could give you some insight on which attribution model you want to use. I think for most people, the data-driven model will be fine. But if we extend the date range out, we can see a little more variance. So organic search is pretty close. Referral is slightly lower on data-driven. I think the biggest impact, again, it's small numbers here, but organic social is about 24% different than the last click model. And then this is where you can toggle this if you want to switch it the other way around. So this is a nice section that a lot of times, even if you're not running ads, you can still utilize this. It's a little bit confusing the way it's labeled, but that's where you can get some of those multi-channel funnel reports. So that really covers attribution. Report identity we did look at. This is where you can configure how the data for your reports are calculated. So by default, if you enable Google Signals, you're going to get this blended model. And you can click learn more to learn more about this, but Google is basically showing they're using all of these 4 factors to impact your reports. Again, a lot of times I see Google Signals cause thresholding issues where you actually can't see some of your data. So again, if that happens, you just need to switch this. Now, what's a little bit confusing about this though, is Google doesn't show the one you need to switch it to. You have to actually click show all, and then device-based is the one that can fix that issue if you run into that. And this is only going to look at device ID. If you look at the difference, you can actually see the kind of differences between the 3. So we have one that's just device ID. Then we have this one that uses user IDs and Google Signals. And the main difference with blended, Google adds this modeling, which they don't use in the observe. So you can change these at any time. It will not impact your underlying data. And you could just kind of see what the differences are with your own data by toggling these and switching through these. But this is important to look at. And if you run into those issues, it can save you a lot of time trying to fix that. So then really, those are kind of the core settings here. The only other thing that we didn't cover is product links. So with product linking, we'll come back here. The main options are very similar to Universal Analytics. You could link various tools that you have. I think for most people, Google Search Console is going to be one of the most common ones. And this can unlock some organic search reports inside of GA4. And then Google Ads will probably be the next most common one, where you can connect your Google Ads account and import some of the data. You can also import the conversions you set up directly to Google Ads. BigQuery is becoming more popular. So this is another one to look at if you want to store your data in BigQuery. And there's a lot of additional things you can do by utilizing BigQuery in terms of reporting. You can do that here and connect your account. And yeah, any other accounts you have, the setup process is usually pretty seamless. It's just clicking on the link button and connecting your account and you're good to go. But yeah, Google Ads and Google Search Console are probably the most prominent 2 that you're going to set up. And then we get to events and conversions. So this is probably the most important part of this whole setup process. Everything else is nice to do and it'll enhance your data, but this is really where you want to spend the most time and do the most customization work. Almost anything on your website can be tracked as an event. So the way I like to do it is essentially use event tracking to track everything that I'd want to know. And then you can select which of those events are conversions. So sometimes you might have different buttons you want to track, but you don't actually want to mark that as a conversion. Using events and conversions in that way of having an event for the button click, but not counting that as a conversion is a nice way to change the data. So we're not going to go into a full guide on event and conversion tracking, but just some high level things to think about. So when you're in this event menu, this will show you the different events that are being collected, and you can see those all here. This event builder here is actually quite useful if you don't want to use Google Tag Manager. You do have the option of creating some events right inside of GA4. Now, I like using Google Tag Manager for consistency and some of the features, but this can be a really quick way you can get some initial events set up. I have a few set up now, but the way this works is if you click create, it gives you an option to name it. And then this is where you set the conditions. So one thing to note is you usually need to follow a format like this where you do event name, and that would be one of these high level events here. So like click or page view or form submission. And then what you would do is use the second parameter to signify which specific click you want to track. So in this case, I'm tracking clicks to one of my calendar tools. So I'm looking for the click event and then the URL, the brand of the calendar tool. Same thing for Calendly. I have another one here for Calendly where it's a similar thing. We're tracking the event name is clicks, and then we're breaking it down with the link URL. So under parameter, you can see some of the options here of what you can use. So there's a lot of options here to select, but this is really kind of the basics of getting click events set up. And then page view events are very similar. So if you have thank you pages, this is really the main way you can set up a thank you page event. So event name would be page view. And then we want to break that page down by page location, which will be part of the URL. So we're looking for thank you in the URL in this case. Now the page location can be a little confusing because that's typically not what you would think to search here. Like when we first got into GA4, we were looking for things like path, page view or landing page, but page location is the one you want to use, which will be the URL of the page. And this will automatically give you a new event for thank you page views. So you can see if I go back to this event menu, I have my calendar clicks here. You can start to see those tracked. And then GA4 assessment, I have a type form. So that's another one that you could do with a click tracking. Basically here, we're just saying anyone that clicks and goes to my type form, we're tracking that. Those are probably the two most common use cases here are clicks and page view. You could also do the form submission tracking. So before when we were mentioning using those parameters, you could do something like this where the event is form submission, and then you're breaking it down with form ID. So let's say the ID was, you had form 1 or 2, whatever the ID is, you could put that in here, and then you could actually name this. Let's say this was your contact form. And then that could be one way you set up a different form event if you wanted to do it that way. I would probably do that in Google Tag Manager though. But you do have the option to configure things how you want here. But yeah, this could be a quick way to set up events. If you go the Google Tag Manager route, which we like, is we'd go back here and same thing, we'd make a tag. And then under Google Analytics, Google gives you a GA4 event template here. And then this is where you would start configuring. So you need to put in your measurement ID, which is that tracking code we saw earlier. I'm going to go out of this one and we'll just go into this contact form one here. And then inside of this event builder is where you name your event, and the name of the event is what's going to show up here. So it's important to think about that and how you want to do your naming conventions. And then as we looked at before, this is where you can get those event parameters for custom dimensions if you want to break down this event in different ways that you can't do out of the box. And then really the only other thing you need to do is create a trigger. So the trigger is going to be similar to what this does, where this is saying we want clicks to this URL. So the trigger is basically what actually is going to categorize and make the event count. So in this case, I'm using form ID. Basically, any form ID with this ID is my contact form. So it's only going to pull in my contact form here instead of the other forms on the website. So there's a lot you can do with triggers, and there's a lot of good training on that online already from Google directly and from other sources. So those are good to dig into to really go deep on how you can do event tracking and conversion tracking. But once you have a few basic events set up, you have the option right here to mark any of those as conversions. So I would be careful with this and really only mark the things that you truly want to count as a conversion. If you mark too many things, it's going to clutter up your conversion data. So I tend to like to just pick typically the different forms. In my case, I have some calendar tools that I'm using, so I'm tracking that as a conversion as well. Even if you don't track it as a conversion, you'll be able to pull any data on it. So like this form submit event, even though it's not marked as a conversion, I can still see this in my reports and see how many people are doing this event. So it's really not critical to mark everything as a conversion, just the things that really matter and that you want to really use to evaluate performance of some of your campaigns and some of the marketing that you're doing. So other thing you can do is once you create an event, if you can wait till the event shows up here and then toggle it as a conversion. You can also just click new event and type in the name of the event right here, right away. And then as soon as those happen, it'll start to count. So this is really where you're going to want to spend a lot of time on going through your website, checking out every form. I tend to like to use a Google Sheet to map everything out. One of the things that we do is we'll go through the website and just map out all the different things that we might want to track. So it'll be all the forms. We'll put the URL of the form, the name of the form, different click events. Like if there's phone numbers that are clickable or email addresses that are clickable, those can be tracked. Calendar tools, if you have downloadable content, really anything that you think you'd want additional data on, map it out in a Google Sheet, and then you could figure out the steps to implement it. But this is where you're really going to get that custom data that's really going to help you evaluate how things are going. Without a deep event tracking and conversion tracking, you're really going to be stuck with just kind of the basic page view and engagement data, which will give you some insights, but it won't really give you the next step of understanding how your marketing is impacting your business results. So this is worth spending a lot of time on getting familiar with. Now, those are really the core settings. So once you have your settings dialed in and you have custom events and conversion set up, the final thing to do is to configure reporting. Now you have this new data. You're going to want to utilize that in the reports. So one of the things that's actually a really nice feature of GA4 is this reporting interface is fully customizable. So in the last version of analytics, you could make custom reports, but you could not customize the default reports as well as you can here. So this lets you actually rename the navigation. You can add new reports, you can delete reports and change the metrics. So this is really beneficial to do because if you're not, depending on your business, if you're not an e-commerce site, you can delete all the e-commerce reports that you're never going to use. So there's little things like that you could do to make it a lot easier to find the data that you care about. And all of this is done in the library section here. So what's interesting about this is when you do the Google Search Console integration, you'll actually see this pop up and you can publish this report. And what this is, Google automatically will create a Google Search Console report for you that has the same data in Google Search Console, but sometimes it's nice just to have this inside of Google Analytics where you can get some of your organic search reports on landing pages. You can get your keyword data here as well on the different keywords people are using to find your website. So this is all done with the integration and then going to library. And a lot of ways you can do this. There's a whole library of reports, but if you click create new report and you have two options here, overview reports, you'll see like acquisition overview. If we go to engagement overview, these ones tend to have some visualizations. And then the detail reports are things like this, where it has a couple visualizations, but has the raw data table. So you can create these from scratch. The thing I like to do is actually just edit the existing reports. So this is one where if we go to the traffic acquisition report, which is a common one, and we click edit, this is going to bring up actually the report builder where I can start customizing this report. If I want to change these charts, I can do that here. But what I like to do is really look at dimensions and metrics. So dimensions are going to be what shows up in this drop-down menu. So right now you can see we have channel, we have source, medium. I already have campaign. Those look pretty good. But if you wanted to add a new one, you could start typing and maybe I want one of these. Maybe I want campaign ID here. And then now I can add that and click apply. And then now that will show up as an option. What I like to do though is really configure the metrics. So you can change the order these appear, and you could also add any new metrics that you want. So in this case, I've added bounce rate. I added conversion rate. So you could add any metric. You could search for it. You could just scroll to see what's available to anything you might want to add here. I think the order matters as well. One of the things you'll notice is by default, conversions are usually at the bottom. So the problem with that is you have to scroll to the right to see those. I like to try to make these first 6 or 7 metrics, the ones I really care about, just for like a quality of life thing. So I don't have to always scroll to the right to see something I really care about. I kind of throw in metrics I might not look at as often on that side. And the first 6 or 7 metrics, really think through those of what you want to be immediately visible. So you don't have to continually scroll and go back and forth to find these. I usually like to have traffic metrics, then my 2 conversion metrics. So conversions and conversion rate. And then I put in some engagement metrics. So I can at a glance see traffic, conversions, and engagement. So this is something that's worth doing on every report and really customizing the metrics you care about. And if there's a metric you're never going to use or you're not going to take any action on, I always recommend just getting rid of it. You could always add it back. The data is not missing. It's just not going to clutter up your analysis. And what's nice about this also is under conversions, this is worth getting familiar with. You have the option to select individual conversions. So by default, it's going to show all of them. But if I only want to see calendar clicks, I can do that right here. And now I can just see what channels are driving my meeting bookings. Same thing with conversion rate. You can do that there. And same thing with event count. So with event count, you can select any event that you've set up. So this is where you could start selecting things that are not a conversion. So like form start, I have as an event. If I want to see how many people are starting forms, but maybe not completing them, we have the option there. So that's another feature that's worth just getting used to utilizing. So I'm going to go back one here. I'm not going to save this, but that's one of the biggest things I like to do is edit the existing reports. So you tailor them to what you really care about and make them more impactful. Then start thinking about what new reports would you like to see easily. The way I gauge that is if you're finding you have to constantly change the dimension, we looked at that secondary dimension earlier. And another option you could do, you might want to see a report that has source or channel and the page they're landing on. This is the type of thing, if you have to constantly add these dimensions, switch these settings, it's worth just making this as a report and saving it. And then you don't have to do this every time you log into Google Analytics. And same thing with filters. You could add filters to your report up here. So if I want to see anything in particular here, like let's do only organic search. Let's do only organic channel. So it'll be organic video, social. Now we can start to see just organic, what the source is, and then what the page is. If this is something you'd want to see often, instead of having to do this every time, I would save this as a report and just add it to your navigation. And you'll save a lot of time doing this custom work every time you log into Google Analytics. So it's a big way to save time and get to the things you care about a lot quicker. And you can utilize the combination of filters, dimensions, adding the secondary one, and then the metrics that you want to see. Now, the visuals, you can also adjust. I prefer to do visualization inside of Looker Studio. I think you have a lot more customization options there, but you do have some options here to tweak these a little bit. I use Google Analytics to just kind of store the data, and then we'll put it into Looker Studio to actually visualize it. So tends to be the way I like to work with this, just because in Looker Studio, just for an example, you could have one page here that pulls in from multiple data sources. So in this case, I have how many meetings are being booked by month from Google Analytics. And then I have how many organic clicks I'm getting from Google Search Console. So in one view, you could have different data sources. So there's a lot of customization you can do. So I tend to like to set up dashboards and reports based on the Google Analytics data instead of spending a lot of time customizing the reports here. You still could do it if people on your team are going to be going into Google Analytics directly. This, you have much more better visualization options. Like it's difficult to make these really clear month-by-month charts to kind of see what's happening. Like in this case, we can clearly see like we had some decent growth on organic, and then we had a little bit of a decline here that we might want to investigate. And you could have pages, as many pages as you want. We're also pulling in YouTube data into this report directly from YouTube Analytics. So there's a lot you can do by utilizing Looker Studio and connecting it to GA4. But that tends to be my preference for visualization. Now, there's one last reporting feature that I wanted to cover. It's the Explore section. So this is actually pretty useful. And what's nice about this is you can set up some of these and you don't have to do it from scratch every time. My favorite ones are probably the funnel exploration and the path exploration. Funnel exploration will only be relevant if you have a sequence of steps somebody has to do before converting. So for e-commerce, it makes a lot of sense where you could have, if someone adds an item to the cart and the checkout process, sometimes it makes sense for B2B. It really depends. But the path exploration, almost everyone can benefit from this report. And we'll make one of these from scratch. So when you go into this report, by default, you'll land on this builder here. And this is somewhat similar to Looker Studio on the left, but this is pretty different, this visual. So what I like to do with this, there's kind of two ways I like to use it. The first is to see like how people are navigating my website. So what I like to do is switch event name to page path. And now we're going to basically see the pages somebody's entering my website through. And if you click on one of these, you could then see where they go next. So when someone goes to my homepage, we have some people are going to contact us. A lot of people are going to the blog. Some people are going to my newsletter. So you can really start to see how people are flowing through the website. Same thing with this blog. When people read this blog, I could see a few of them go on to read these two additional related blogs to Google Analytics. So it can be pretty helpful. You can even click a third time and see the next layer for people that started on the homepage, went to the contact page, and then went back to the homepage or the about page. So this is a nice feature to set up. I like to set up one that kind of shows all the landing pages. And if you have a few key pages you really care about, you can pre-filter this so it only shows that page when you log in. So like, let's say you only want to look at one of your top blogs. Now what we'll have is a report that just shows this one entry point here from this blog. And then I can name this whatever I want. So I would do something like GA4 SEO blog. And then now when you exit, this will be set up for you every time you go back in. So that can be really beneficial to see how people are using your navigation, flowing through the website. The other thing I like to do with this is actually the reverse, starting from the ending point event. So if you click start over, and this is kind of a hidden feature, you now have starting point or ending point. We just looked at starting point. So we're going to look at ending point now. So I like to do event name. Now we could select the event we want to analyze. Typically, you're going to want to do a conversion event for this. So I'm going to do my form submission. And then same thing. Once we have this set up, I'm going to actually change the date range too. So we'll have a little more data to look at here. So we'll do October, just about till last week. So now we have this data here. I'm going to switch event name to page path. And now what this is going to show me is the page somebody was on right before submitting the form. In my case, my only form is on the Contact Us page. So everybody submitted the form on this page, which makes sense. But where this is more powerful is being able to see the pages they were on prior to the contact page. So if I click here, I can now see the exact pages somebody was on before going to the contact page and submitting the form. So what I'm seeing here is one of my service pages, my home page, and actually my newsletter are some of the top pages that drive people to convert. We could even see another layer if we click on this. So this means there's no step prior to this. So these people landed directly on this service page. If I go to the home page, let's see, a few people were on some pages prior. You can actually click as many times as it'll let you. So in this case, some people were on the home page, went to the contact page, went back to the home page, and then to the contact page and converted. I could see the service page flow here as well. So yeah, this is a really valuable one to kind of see all the steps somebody's taking right before converting. There are some filtering options too. If we click on this filter here, you have some option here to filter by different things. You could also use segments to filter this. So if I only want to see direct traffic, these are the default ones. You could actually create a segment too. It's similar to that audience builder where you could create a segment, let's say for organic search or a different channel. I'm just going to use the direct traffic one. If I drop that onto the segment, it'll now filter the data to just this segment. So using kind of these things in conjunction you could really start to analyze how different sources of traffic, what the path they take to convert is, or by device as well. There's really tons of ways you can do this. So this is going to be another, probably the most common two explorations I do are the entry points and then the ending points based on all your conversions. I like to set up an ending point path exploration for every conversion. That way you have it in your menu here and you could just click on it at any time to see what's causing people to utilize those conversions. So that's as kind of the final piece to reporting in GA4. It's really thinking about what data do you want to see, and then what customizations are you finding yourself repeating? If you're repeating anything more than once, it's worth saving that as a custom report. Then utilizing those explorations. And then to think about your longer term reporting and visualization strategy, I like to use Looker Studio. I would recommend looking into that. Once you get familiar with it, you could set up custom reports really efficiently, and you could do a lot more visualization there. So using that in tandem with GA4 and your other analytics tools is a nice way to have one place to go for all your data, particularly if you're running a lot of ads and doing a lot of different things, because you can connect your ad platforms right to Looker Studio as well. So you could have one report showing data from all different tools, from your Google Analytics, your Facebook ads, LinkedIn, social media, email. And it's kind of a nice way to have one central place to look at your marketing data instead of going into all those tools individually. So that's always my recommendation for reporting. And really, those are the main things I like to do a base setup. And again, you could go through a lot of those things quickly. And then depending on how custom and how much customization you want to do, that's where the event tracking and conversion tracking is probably the longest step of the whole process. So, so that's really the core thing here. Now, we are giving away to everyone who's attending this setup checklist that we have. So this is going to kind of go through all the things we looked at, but it's going to give you a checklist you could run through to kind of remind you of the different things to check in your account. What's cool about this as well is when you mark something as fail, it'll automatically build out this summary report for you, which you can use to kind of track what needs to be done. So if we do this, only the items that are marked as fail are going to show up on the summary tab. So then you could use this to kind of track implementation of all these different things that you want to improve your tracking on. So it can be a nice way to, one, make sure you have a standardized process for auditing or setting up an account, and then also have a tracking document to make sure all these different things get implemented. So we'll be sending this out as well. And it's customizable. So any adjustments you make to the checklist tab will reflect in your own version of this. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I know we had probably some questions come in.
Yeah, thank you very much. At first, thank you very much for the presentation and your walkthrough around Google Analytics. It was really interesting, informative, and we could see everything with your comments, advice, and ideas. So let's move to Q&A session. Guys, who is here with us, please leave your questions to the speaker. I can see a question here. Has Google's definition of new user changed since it changed how it identifies users?
So yeah, if we go back and actually, let me share the screen again here, because I think this will be good to show inside of Google Analytics. Sure. So let me just go there. And we'll go back to Google Analytics. So what's nice about the metrics in Google Analytics is, and we'll look at users specifically. Well, one of the things we actually didn't cover, which I think is a cool feature, is if you hover over any of these metrics, Google will give you the definition. So it's a nice way if you're not sure what something is, like engaged session can be confusing because there's a lot of criteria. Google will tell you right there. So this can be really helpful for doing that. Now, this is only going to tell you, it's not really going to give you much for users. So when we go back to the reporting identity, this is where you could start to see how Google tracks users. So, and these are really the options here. So this is brand new, this blended model, where Google is not just using the device ID, where it used to be if someone was on mobile and somebody was on desktop, they would count as different users. Now Google is trying to do a better job of understanding the same user on different devices and different aspects. So this is where you can do kind of a deeper dive on all the little nuances to it. By default, you're going to be opted into this blended model. So this is how it's going to be calculated. Google's going to use the device ID, but they're also layering in Google Signals, which is brand new, and this modeling, which they have an article going a little bit deeper on. And then, like I was saying earlier, sometimes when you use this blending, it causes issues and your data, some of it gets locked and you can't see it. That's where then you have to go back to the old model, which is just tracking based on device. So those are really the main options. But yes, it is interesting. You could really go deep on this with some of the articles on each of these individual things. But it's basically a combination of factors you're most likely going to be opted into with this blended model. And you can kind of see that here. Basically, you have the option to determine how you want to do it based on these three different groups that Google has.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation. I can see any question in the chat. Guys, if you have, please leave it in the live chat. However, I have a couple of questions. The first question, what should a beginner start using Google Analytics for their marketing tasks with? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so usually what I recommend to start is kind of one would be going through your accounts and just making sure you've implemented some of these things to customize the data a little bit. Because out of the box, you're going to get some basic data on page views and engagement, but it's nice to have the conversion data as well. Then once you have that, it's really about making a simple report that you can use to have a good understanding of how your marketing is doing. And that I tend to like to use Looker Studio. But there's so many different data points and metrics and things you could find in GA4. It's nice to simplify it and really only focus on the ones where you're actually going to make a change or take some type of action. Sometimes we can get lost just looking at various metrics, and there's so many different things you could look at. The way I like to filter it is really, what are the metrics where you're going to look at and you're actually going to change something in your marketing? And those would be the ones I'd focus on a regular basis. And everything else, if there's a specific question you're trying to answer, then you can kind of go into the tool and try to find those extra data points. But I think simplifying it is a big key, where you won't be overwhelmed by all the different things in there. You could just focus on a few metrics that you know matter to what you're doing. And that can save you a lot of time and get things done a little bit faster.
Okay, thank you very much. And as for the data visualization and the work with reports, in what way do you prefer to get and work with Google Analytics data directly on the platform via Looker Studio? You mentioned that, or BigQuery maybe.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Looker Studio. I think it just gives you a lot more customization and visualization options. What's nice about it too, you only really need to set up your Looker Studio once, and you have a template that you could reuse for other websites, or you could build out separate reports if your leadership team needs to see certain data and they don't want to have to navigate in Google Analytics and find it. So you could really do a lot with Looker Studio. So I always recommend getting familiar with that. I think the visualization is much better. GA4 does a good job of giving you the tables and kind of the raw data, but if you want to start to see trends and what's happening over time, I find it's a lot easier to do that in Looker Studio. And then BigQuery is a good option for a lot of people to look into. In BigQuery, you could store data from all your different sources, and there's a lot more customization and things you could do blending data sources together. You could do a little bit of data blending and things in Looker Studio, but if you really want to take it to the next level and be more advanced with it, BigQuery is definitely something to look into. Also, for storing your old Google Analytics data, if you have universal analytics, eventually that data is Google's going to delete that. So a lot of companies are looking at BigQuery as a way to store that, so they have their historic data and can access it and still make reports based on it. So it's another tool that is starting to become more popular, and it's another one to get familiar with and see if it makes sense for your business. But there's a lot of ways you could utilize that. You could also, last thing on BigQuery, is connect it to Looker Studio, which makes the reports a lot faster as well. So that's sometimes an issue with some data sources in Looker Studio. They can be slow to load. So BigQuery, the connection to Looker Studio tends to be much faster. So Another thing to learn, because there's some nuance to it, when you just connect right to GA4, it's a little bit easier to work with in Looker Studio, but definitely worth learning about and seeing if it makes sense for you.
Okay, thank you very much. It looks like we covered everything. I can see any question in the chat. Thank you for your answers. Maybe you would like to highlight or add anything?
Yeah, I think only other thing. So yeah, that we're going to send out that audit checklist to everybody. That's a nice tool. We do have a newsletter where we give away different templates for free each month. So that Google Analytics 4 audit checklist is on there. We also have Looker Studio reports. It's all free. So if you sign up for that, basically every month, we're just going to send one template out. It's usually either some type of marketing template made in a Google Sheets or a report in Looker Studio. So there's a variety of things there. And then you can also check me out on YouTube. We're doing a lot more there. Similar stuff, Google Analytics, marketing, some business topics, all different things, a little bit more detailed walkthroughs over there.
Oh, thanks a lot. Guys, connect with John in LinkedIn. The link is in the chat. Follow Sendpulse social media and let's stay in touch. Once again, John, thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge with us today. And guys, it was great to have you all watch, ask questions, and thank you. Enjoy the week ahead. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
So, a few words about myself. I'm Sophia, as you know, a sales development representative at Snove.io. And together we'll uncover the secrets to attracting dream clients and forging powerful partnerships. This webinar is your guide to conquering the lead generation jungle. And before we start, let's do a quick mood check in chat. Please type from 1 to 5. 1 if you're not feeling it today, and 5 if you're ready to rock. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts and insights. I'll go to the comment section, so please type. Maybe it will take some time for me to see your comments. Glad to see that you're in a good mood today. Yeah, so if you want, you can still type. I'll check your comments. And also, I wanted to ask you, oh, now I see. Thanks so much. And also, just wanted to ask you to share one word or phrase that describes your experience with targeting clients and partners in 2024. So is it a growth for you, or rivers of tears, or maybe new connections? So just share one word. And I also check in the comment section. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm glad that you're sharing your thoughts and mood. It's very important for me to see a feedback from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I've asked you to share your one word or phrase that describes your experience, because you are not alone in that. Yeah, because competition is fierce, budgets are tight, and finding good leads feels impossible. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, ball of tears. Yeah, so maybe you can continue typing. I'll check that. Just wanted to share that there is a way to crush these challenges. Whether you are in B2B or B2C, this webinar is your ultimate weapon to slay the lead generation beast in 2024. Hi everyone. So I'll continue with my presentation and you just can continue typing. I'll check your comments. So, today we'll be dropping knowledge bombs on LinkedIn domination, like how to leverage the power of LinkedIn to attract those elusive decision makers and land big clients and partners. Then B2B versus B2C prospecting hacks unlock the secrets to crafting a laser focused strategy for each audience. No more wasted bullets. Content like a boss. Learn how to create captivating content to have potential customers and partners lining up at your door. Social selling secrets, of course, master the art of social selling and generate high quality leads that convert into loyal customers and collaborators. And relationship building. Discover proven tactics for building strong relationships that lead to win-win partnership and explosive growth. Yeah, thanks so much for all of your greetings. I'm still receiving some comments. And by the end of this webinar, you'll be a lead generation ninja, ready to attract dream clients, build strategic partnership, and watch your business skyrocket. So, all right, everyone, buckle up. We are all here for one reason: to attract high quality leads and convert them into loyal clients. But the truth is, the path to success looks different depending on who you are targeting. Think about it this way. Imagine trying to convince your best friend to try a new restaurant versus proposing a strategic partnership with a major corporation. Same goal, generating sales, but completely different approaches, right? That's where understanding B2B and B2C prospecting comes in. Before we unleash the power of LinkedIn for lead generation, let's take a deep dive into the key differences between B2B and B2C buyers because it's very important. So, why we approach B2B and B2C differently? Have you ever wondered why the marketing strategies that work wonders for your B2C customers fall flat with your B2B audience? Or why your B2B sales tactics fell out of place when trying to convert individual consumers? The truth is that it's all about emotions. Even though the final purchase might seem like a logical decision, emotions are always on the driver's seat for both B2B and B2C buyers. In this webinar, we'll crack the code on why logic alone won't win over decision makers and how to tailor your approach to resonate with the emotional needs of both audiences. So let's look into differences in buying motives and decision making. For B2B, it's also logic and emotion driven, and purchases often revolve around solving business problems, efficiency gains, and of course, a return on investment. Multiple stakeholders. Decisions might involve procurement, executives, and end users, each with different priorities. Needs analysis. The sales process focuses on understanding the company's specific challenges and tailoring solutions. What's for B2C? It's also emotion driven. Decisions frequently stem from personal desires, social trends, or need for immediate satisfaction. Individual choice. Purchases often made by a single person. Price sensitivity. Cost plays a significant role alongside perceived value. Let's look at sales cycle complexity. For B2B, often involves extensive research, demos, and requests for proposals and contract negotiations. Relationship focus. Sales reps prioritize building trust and demonstrating long-term value. What's for B2C? It's a shorter cycle. Purchase decisions can be made on impulse or within a short time frame. And it's also transactional, less emphasis on relationship building, more on facilitating a quick and convenient purchase. So, how these differences impact the sales process? Let's look at the features. Lead qualification, more stringent, focus on business needs and budget. And for B2C, it's simpler, focus on interest and affordability. nurturing, consistent follow-up with educational content and addressing concerns versus emphasis on promotional offers and urgency. Sales techniques, consultative selling, problem-solving approach, persuasive tactics, highlighting benefits and social proof for the B2C. And closing. This may require negotiation, contract review, and overcoming objections for B2B. For B2C is streamlined purchasing, focus on ease of transaction. So, what are the key takeaways from this? For B2B sales processes, it demands patience, expertise, and a tailored approach to each prospect needs. And for B2C sales processes, favor tactics that create a sense of urgency, highlight value, and minimize friction in the purchase journey, which is very important. So, all right, everyone, we've cracked the code on the psychology of B2B and B2C buyers. Now, let's leverage the knowledge to turn your LinkedIn presence into a lead generation machine. The landscape of lead generation on LinkedIn is constantly evolving, and staying ahead of the curve is a key to attracting high-quality clients, whether you are targeting businesses or individual consumers. So get ready to discover the most effective strategies on LinkedIn in 2024. So what are the current approaches? You should forget about cold calls. The game has changed. Today, salespeople are building meaningful connections and closing deals through the power of social selling. What exactly is social selling? It's the strategic use of social media platforms like LinkedIn, of course, to connect with the potential clients, establish yourself as an industry thought leader, and ultimately drive sales. This approach goes beyond simply having a profile on social media. Here are some real-world examples of effective social selling. So let's talk about IBM, International Business Machines, a global technology leader that provides hardware, software, and cloud computing services. To increase qualified leads by 70%, they implemented targeted social campaigns. These campaigns focused on focused on specific customer challenges and showcased IBM's expertise in solving them. They also leveraged employee advocacy programs, encouraging employees to share valuable content about IBM solutions, which increased brand awareness. And awareness is very important, and trust, of course. Dell Technologies, a multinational computer technology company, Dell shortened sales cycles by 30% by actively participating in relevant industry conversations on LinkedIn. Their salespeople didn't just push products, they offered insights and established themselves as a trusted advisors by providing valuable information to potential clients. And this social selling approach allowed them to connect with decision makers earlier in buying journey. Oracle Corporation, a multinational computer technology corporation specializing in enterprise software. They boosted brand awareness and lead generation by establishing thought leaders within their sales team. These sales reps consistently created high quality content like a blog post and articles on industry trends, which positioned Oracle as a thought leader and attracted potential clients interested in their expertise. And the data backs it up. 71% of sales professionals already use social selling, recognizing the growing openness to building business connections on social media. 78% of businesses with the social selling strategy outperform those without, highlighting its effectiveness, of course. 55% of buyers find the remote buying process facilitated by social media, demonstrating a shift in buyer behavior, which is interesting for me. While chasing fads isn't wise, social selling is here to stay. Many businesses have already embraced it, and staying on the sidelines could mean missing valuable opportunities and hindering your return on investment. So let's look at the role of salespeople because it's also evolving. They are building stronger connections by fostering trust and lasting relationship. They are boosting brand confidence, addressing concerns, and demonstrating value. They understand clients' needs by effectively listening and uncovering pain points and leveraging AI, personalized experience, and tailored communication effectively. However, we still face some challenges, and me as a salesperson, I can agree that first one is meeting or exceeding targets remains crucial, but it's increasingly difficult due to various factors such as inflation, competition, poor lead quality, reaching decision makers, data privacy regulations, and the need for constant adaptation are hurdles to overcome. But despite these challenges, exciting opportunities lie ahead 2024 because business landscape is constantly evolving, demanding sellers to prioritize meaningful interactions across multiple channels. And this begs the crucial question, where do I find my ideal clients? And of course, the answer that you need to enter LinkedIn. This unparalleled platform goes beyond B2B connections, serving as a powerful tool for both fields, B2B and B2C. Its effectiveness is backed by impressive data. Let's look at the facts. 89% of B2B marketers actively utilize LinkedIn. LinkedIn generated the highest visitor to lead conversion rate, almost 3 times higher than both Twitter and Facebook. That's amazing for me. Over 9 billion content impressions are served weekly on the platform, showcasing its potential as a content distribution channel for B2C brands. 6 out of 10 LinkedIn users were between 25 and 34 years old as for January 2023. So it makes you an ideal platform for targeting younger demographics, relevant for both B2B and B2C cases. If you're active on LinkedIn, focus on emails as well. Of email responses, 65 arrive within 24 hours and 90% arrive with 1 week, allowing for efficient communication, regardless of your target audience. The good news today we'll explore 5 powerful strategies that you can leverage using the free features available to everyone. So let's discover how to find warm leads. So first thing I will be showing you, I will be clicking on the picture and you can see in more detail. So relevant content. Identify content related to the problems you solve and use it to connect with potential clients actively seeking solutions. Consider creating and sharing informative content. And on the slides, you can see how you can just go to LinkedIn and filter posts and see the latest articles. You can post your own articles and position yourself as a thought leader, or you can just read the latest information on the topic. So next thing, you can see the relevant events and find the industry events and meet your ideal clients if you attend them. By filtering by events on LinkedIn search, you can find upcoming gatherings and connect with attendees who share your target audience. So it's also very simple here. Attending events in your industry is a great way to connect with potential clients, as I said, and LinkedIn offers tools that allow you to search for them, so don't miss a chance. Job posting as lead magnets. Uncover relevant job positions at your target companies. By using LinkedIn search filters for jobs, you can identify the challenges companies are facing and tailor your outreach accordingly. So let's look closer. Include job postings as a lead magnet to attract potential clients who may be interested in your services. By posting relevant job openings, you can capture the attention of individuals who are actively seeking solutions in your industry and utilize the strategy to generate warm leads and engage with potential clients. So it's also very simple. You can see that after maybe in the PDF file if you want to test it in your own LinkedIn account. Targeted referrals. Leverage your existing connections to gain introductions to warm leads with your ideal customer profile. At sales industry, we name it ACP. By searching connections of people you know and filtering by job title, you can identify potential prospects and reach out to your network introductions. And that's how you can do that. Also, the instruction, just go to LinkedIn search, enter the job title you want to target, click all filters in under connections of search for someone in your network whom you can with whom you have a good relationship and who would give you an intro if you asked. And as a bonus step, you can, under previous company, select a company that the person you know used to work for. That way, it's more likely than actually know the person you want to intro to. So, next step. Prospect someone else's audience. Find common connections with industry influencers. By searching for followers of well-known person in your niche, you can build a rapport with potential clients who share an interest in the same thought leader. So how you can do that? You can just go to people and filter and see the followers of the person you want. And now you have a list of people who follow your competition. So next advice. What you get if you implement these strategies, you can reach out to highly relevant leads who are already interested in what you offer. You can build trust and rapport by establishing a warm connections before the outreach and ultimately convert more leads into loyal customers. Now let's look how you can find your ideal clients on LinkedIn in 2024. So first thing, you need to optimize your profile. Craft a compelling profile that showcases your expertise, experience, and value proposition. Next thing, utilize relevant keywords to ensure your profile appears in targeted searches. Publish engaging content, share insights, industry news, and thought leadership pieces to establish yourself as a trusted resource relevant for both B2B and B2C audiences. Advanced search and targeting. Leverage powerful tools like Sales Navigator and HubSpot. These platforms offer advanced search functionalities and lead generation capabilities tailored for B2B and B2C outreach. Move beyond basic keywords. Employ highly specific searches and target individuals with specific job titles, skills, or company affiliations. And for B2C audiences, utilize demographic filters like location, age, and interest to refine your search and target specific customer segments. As I told you before, young generations are already on LinkedIn, so it's very important. Don't miss a chance. The power of engagement. Actively participate in relevant groups, contribute to discussions, answer questions, and build relationship with potential clients and industry professionals, both in B2B and B2C contexts. Engage with individuals, send personalized connection requests, initiate conversations, and demonstrate genuine interest in their needs and challenges, regardless of target audience. Consider hosting LinkedIn live sessions, share valuable information, engage in real-time discussions, and connect with a wider audience suitable for both B2B and B2C engagement strategies. Prioritize relationship building. Focus on providing value. offer helpful advice, share industry insights, and genuinely connect with your prospects. Personalize your outreach, avoid generic messages, and tailor your communication to each individual, highlighting specific areas of interest and potential areas of collaboration. Nurture relationship over time. Don't just connect and disappear. Maintain regular communication and build a foundation of trust and understanding, which is crucial for success. And of course, stay up to date. Follow trends. Keep your finger on the pulse of industry trends and adapt your strategies accordingly. Analyze and adapt. Monitor your results and adjust your approach based on what works and what doesn't. Don't shy away from AI or lookalike tools. Identify ideal clients. AI analyzes vast data sets to pinpoint your ideal customer profile on LinkedIn with unmatched accuracy. Streamline qualification. AI assesses prospects' fit based on predefined criteria, prioritizing the most promising leads. Craft personalized messages. Imagine AI leveraging large language models to generate creative icebreakers and tailor content based on a prospect's unique background and interests. It's important to remember that AI sales tools are still evolving and ethical considerations are crucial as this technology matures. Now, however, data quality remains a significant challenge for many sellers, hindering their efforts. This is where Snowfio becomes unavailable. It offers comprehensive features tailored for LinkedIn, ensuring you have the necessary data to connect with prospects seamlessly. While LinkedIn and established tools are functionalities, Snowfio bridges the data quality gap. Our Lead Prospect Finder is a powerful LinkedIn automation tool designed to change your lead generation strategy. So you can say goodbye to bouncing emails and say hello to verified data. Lead Prospect Finder allows you to find verified email addresses for potential leads directly from their LinkedIn profiles. Imagine this, you're an IT solution provider specializing in cloud migration services. Your ideal client is a CEO in the manufacturing industry facing challenges with data security and outdated infrastructure. Traditionally, finding these specific leads would involve time-consuming manual searches and unreliable data sources. But with Snowio, it's a breeze. You can perform simple LinkedIn or Sales Navigator search and use relevant keywords such as CEO and manufacturing. Prospect Finder then goes beyond basic profiles to identify individuals within their profiles. With a few clicks, it extracts not only profile information but also verified email addresses for multiple prospects at once. This saves you valuable time and effort. At Snowball, we also have 7-tier email verification system to ensure your outreach reaches real people. For multi-layered process includes checked for syntax validity, catch-all detection, disposable mail provider identification, and even more. By automating the time-consuming search process, you will free up your team to engage with potential clients on a deeper level, fostering trust and nurturing relationship, which is, again, as I said many times, very, very important. And this integration seamlessly fits into your existing LinkedIn strategies like extension for browser. And additionally, the verified emails obtained can be used to create targeted email campaigns. And next topic is that you should stop spam and start nurturing. How Snow helps you to grow your business. You generate leads, sure, but then what? Just blasting out generic emails to everyone isn't exactly the recipe for success. And that's where you can use our drip campaigns. Imagine having a secret weapon that turns into piping hot leads, that turns your cold contacts into piping hot leads. Sorry. For me, it's like a magic. Have you ever get bombarded by those annoying emails blasts that clog up your inbox? Yeah, those don't work. People crave personalized attention, and that's where drip campaigns shine. Our drip campaign lets you to create the targeted email sequences tailored for different groups of leads. Think industry, job title, or even specific challenges they might be facing. These targeted messages resonate way better than a one-size-fits-all approach. Plus, who needs the hassle of manually sending emails? Schedule your drip campaigns in advance and let Novio help the deliveries. It's like having a tireless assistant working behind the scenes to keep your brand at the forefront of your prospects' minds without being annoying. Sorry. Engagement matters. Let's be honest, boring emails are snooze fest, and Snow helps you to embrace the engagement. So you should use variables to greet leads by name and craft messages that feel genuine. Also, very important to see what's working and what's not. Data is a key in the sales game, and we can track all good and all bad in your campaigns. See which emails are getting open and which clicks are getting clicked, and use that info to refine your approach. But it's not just an email center. We also have some more features that can help you in the sales game. AI writing assistant, a bit writer's block in the power of the AI, and let's now suggest your improvements or even draft new email templates based on your style. Email rotation across multiple sender accounts. You can increase your sending volume and avoid spam filters, which is very important, by distributing your email campaign from multiple sender accounts. You can split like the whole amount of your daily sending limit with the email rotation. Involve the audience. We have also A/B testing functionality that allows you to compare different versions of the email campaigns to see which one resonates best with your audience. Test subject lines or even entire email bodies to optimize your campaigns for maximum impact. And it's not like a fancy email sender, it's a relationship building machine. By creating targeted campaigns, automating outreach, and tracking performance, Snow empowers you to nurture leads, build connections, and ultimately convert them into loyal customers. And also, at Snowy, we're developing a secure LinkedIn outreach automation feature, which is very interesting and innovative because it mimics human behavior, allowing you to schedule actions like sending personalized connections, visiting profiles, sending follow-up messages. And of course, we think about your security, and your account safety is our top priority. And here's how Snowy keeps it secure when the automation launches. We use dedicated proxies, and we plan to provide a built-in dedicated proxy based on your location settings. This acts like a mask for your computer's IP address. And also safety measures. We don't stop at proxies. Snowball will implement an additional safeguards to ensure automation stays with LinkedIn's daily limits and avoids triggering red flags. Build strong connections now, automation coming soon. While secure automation is on the horizon, Snowy already empowers you to build strong connections on LinkedIn. And you can, I see some comments in chat, but I'll answer after. You can boost your social selling cred, increase your social selling index for better visibility and attract valuable leads. You can think of it like it's LinkedIn's credibility score. It's very important as well. In multi-channel outreach, combine Snowvio's robust email marketing features with your LinkedIn efforts. Follow up with prospects who haven't connected or personalize outreach based on their online activity. So stay tuned, the new automation feature coming soon. But let's look at real examples of winning clients and partners on LinkedIn from our experience. But let's see the magic happen here. We have incredible case studies showcasing how businesses across industries use Snowball to conquer their lead gen challenges. First example, we have Omnipart, a global supplier, struggled with low quality leads and email verification. Snowball tools help them to find right decision makers and ensure their outreach efforts weren't wasted. And next, Brightest Minds, a dynamic marketing agency, they create user-friendly tools for personalized campaigns. Snowball delivered, boosting their campaign performance and offering user experience they loved. But that's not all. We have a diverse range of success stories. Oh, sorry, my presentation went wrong. Yeah. So these are the examples about Omnipart and Brightest Mind that I mentioned. And now we are moving to the next slide for more success stories. Coffee Lovers, a local coffee roastery used our platform to conquer B2B expansion, securing over 1,000 high-quality leads. Biotech Breakthroughs, a German biotech startup, needed a reliable platform for high-volume lead generation, and Snowball's data accuracy and dedicated support were key to their growth. Data-driven decisions. Ladlytics skyrocketed their pipeline by generating whopping 25,000 new emails monthly. Sales and research powerhouse. Balkans leveraged Snowball to build a massive database collecting over 80,000 leads. Beyond sales, from recruiters finding top talent to media professionals connecting with influencers, we are helped to empower businesses to achieve their outreach goals. And the gift courier, this is my favorite case. Imagine a client who sells delightful gifts to individual customers. It's like B2C, and they wanted to expand by creative holiday themed gifts, especially for companies. And we help them to find the right decision makers at businesses, allowing them to connect with potential corporate gift buyers and expand their sales channels. These are just few examples how Snow empowers business to achieve breakthrough results. And also, while LinkedIn might seem like a platform reserved for B2B interactions, some forward thinking B2C brands are crushing it and achieving amazing results. Here are a few inspiring examples to spark your creativity. So, Netflix, streaming giant, isn't just about chilling. They are actively engaging their audience on LinkedIn. They use thought-provoking polls and questions to spark conversation and gauge viewer interest. Imagine using polls to see which new show concept resonates most with your target audience. That's a powerful stuff. Spotify, short and sweet, in the name of the game Spotify on LinkedIn. They share bite-sized music videos and announcements about new song releases, keeping their audience updated and entertained. This approach can be easily adapted to other B2C brands. Think of short product demos or customer testimonials to showcase your offerings engagingly. Warby Parker, they are not just selling glasses, they are building a community. Warby Parker takes a unique approach on LinkedIn by highlighting their company culture and employee success stories. What an idea! This strategy builds brand loyalty by attracting customers who resonate with their values. Starbucks. Ever scroll through LinkedIn and see a post that makes you crave for a pumpkin spice latte? That's the power of Starbucks' LinkedIn strategy. They use the platform to tease upcoming promotions and seasonal offerings, building anticipation and excitement for new products. Sony Music Entertainment. The music might be universal, but the marketing strategy is genius. Sony Music leverages the power of music videos to grab attention and connect with broad audience on LinkedIn. Madewell, this is denim-focused clothing brand, uses a mix of aspirational lifestyle imagery, and relatable behind the scenes content. They paint a picture of the Madewell customer and the brand's personality, fostering a sense of community. HBO. The content giant uses LinkedIn to create a buzz around their shows and engage with passionate fan base. They share trailers, behind the scenes snippets, and exclusive content, keeping viewers excited and in the loop. These are just few examples, and the best approach for your brand will depend on your specific audience and goals, of course. But one thing is clear: B2C brands can no longer ignore the potential of LinkedIn. So take inspiration from these success stories, get creative, and watch your brand engagement soar. I hope that you gained valuable insights and strategies to attract industry leaders to your team. And remember, targeting big clients and partners is a strategic investment in your business growth, and you should focus on high value clients and partners. Think big, bigger growth. Identify the key decision makers who hold the partnership keys. Develop a value proposition that screams, "We are the perfect fit." Forge genuine relationship based on trust and mutual goals, and become a guru, of course. Showcase your expertise. These giants want proven winners. And content that closes deals, snackable sales assets. Collaborate with marketing to create bite-sized content like explainer video nuggets, product walkthroughs in a flash, and customer success stories. This is social selling gold for your sales team, definitely. Demo dazzle. Keep your full length demos fresh, and of course with the latest features, and offer snackable video overviews for quick product insights. With our power play, engage prospects with a variety of video formats, light fast feature tutorials, customer testimonial roundups that wow, or even sales announcements that grab attention. Social selling. Why social selling rocks? For now, only 18% are using it, but it's poised for explosion. And here's why. Social media is where everyone's at. And guess what? They are buying too. Over half of salespeople are already prospecting on social media giants like LinkedIn, Facebook, and even YouTube. Marketers on board. Marketers are jumping on social selling train, aligning perfectly with the modern customer journey. Social commerce takes over. Social media isn't just for B2C brands anymore. Forward thinking companies are using it to connect with B2B buyers as well. So, your action plan to partnership paradise. Refine your dream and client partner profile. Who are your ideal partners? Get crystal clear. Become a search and outreach ninja. Explore tools and strategies to find and connect with your perfect matches. As on a Tinder, network like a pro. Hit the industry events and build meaningful connections with potential partners who share your vision. Offer valuable content and consultations. Become a thought leader that showcase your expertise. Free consultations are a great way to start. Patience, patience, and patience. Building trust and a network takes time. Be persistent and watch your network of high value clients and partners flourish. So, we have a Q&A session coming up, so do not hesitate to ask some questions. I saw some comments during our webinar. So I'm confident that now you're equipped to forge connections and collaborations to take your business to the next level. Go conquer those goals. And thank you so much for listening to me today. It was a pleasure.
Sophia, thank you. It was great. Thank you for your tips and insights, your ideas. Now we are like that cat on the. I
I'm a
hope.
cat lover. That's why I couldn't miss a chance.
Yeah, great. So let's answer to the questions in the chat. And the first question is, what strategies would you recommend for following up with potential clients on LinkedIn without being pushy?
That's very important because for me, we should build trust before we start to communicate with the client. And in my personal approach and even in my experience, it's better to showcase your expertise and then start on showing how your product can help the client with their needs, with the hurdles they may face. And it's very important to show them that it's not like it's not for you. They need your they need your services, and it will help their business to grow. It can be like one catchy email. It can be even useful blog post, as I said, on LinkedIn, and your client will find you there. So, in my opinion, never try to force someone to buy something. It's better to show that they need that, and your services will help to increase their revenue and help with the needs that they need to cover. So,
Oh, great. Thank you. So the question is how to find the proper client who needs your services, and maybe you just the client missed your message, so you should think about the needs, about the opportunities opening in front of them. Okay, the next question from Victoria, it's not a question, maybe the I need to hear more about LinkedIn automation. What does it do or will do?
mhm. Yeah, as you know, we have similar tools in the field in the industry right now. If we're talking about Snowville LinkedIn automation, it will help you to increase your rate and creditability score, because you will have possibility to put likes on recent posts, send connect requests, and follow up, which is very important to keep the relationship and continue communicating with the client. So these are the main points, like to have everything in one sequence and build like the consistent flow with the follow-ups and interactions on the LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you very much. And how is it safe?
It's safe because we use proxies, as I said, to cover your IP address. And also, we won't go above your LinkedIn limits. So, of course, we think about your security, and it's very important for us to prevent any damage to your account. So, we won't go above the limits of your account on LinkedIn. To be honest, it's not released yet, and if someone wants to test, you can send me an email, and we can give beta tests and access to see how it works.
Okay, thank you. Let me check the chat. Okay, I can see one more question from Veronica. In B2B, how do you decide which content works best for engaging potential clients on LinkedIn?
Mhm. Content, it's which content works best for engaging potential clients. It depends on the niche and the industry, because for my point of view, content is from marketing team. We as the sales representatives, we deal more with the sales processes, and I think it's very important to communicate with the marketing so they launch their work first. They can also release some ads or some catchy things, and then clients goes to us and we continue communicating on discovering their pain points. This is the main logic here. The best way, of course, not to be pushy and keeping with the follow-ups, with the email marketing, and yeah, do not like force the situation, and give time, because partners, business owners, they are all people, real human. They also can be afraid to lose their revenue. It's very important for them, and we need to show our expertise, as I said, and yeah, create content that can show them that we are that platform that you need for your business. And in my experience, they always, if you provide good service and good platform and good products, you won't have any issues with getting clients. And the ways can be different. It can be a LinkedIn, connect requests with the variables and personalized things. It can be just email marketing, personalized with the different templates and A/B testing to see, like, to find the most catchy thing. So yeah, it can be combination of different options. Very important to communicate and engage somehow into the workflow and not disappear. Sorry, I'm answering like so alone, but I have lots of thoughts in this case.
Great, thank you for sharing. And I'd add, as you mentioned before, think about the needs of your customers when creating the content. Okay, and I will use the opportunity to ask the question from me. What one the most important advice would you give to someone who is new to LinkedIn and wants to attract big clients or partners?
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I didn't have a LinkedIn profile before I started work at Snovio, because I thought like it's something not up to date. But then I discovered for myself that it's like huge platform and age builder, like some brands. I was really shocked. So first thing I did, it's very important to have good avatar because if you send connect requests, someone, they can just see your avatar and your page that is in the background behind your avatar. And even there, like first tip, you can write who you are. For example, in my case, I wrote like, I'm sales representative. See, I'm here, and it should look good, of course, not like some picture from. It should be like in the business view or something like this. So of course, create good profile. Then send connect requests with the catchy emails or catchy messages. In-mail feature, as I said, is very cool from LinkedIn because it helps you to send connect requests even send message even if you're not connected, because usually we go through this first step where we need to connect, they need to accept your request, and then you can continue communicating. So emails is also cool thing. And of course, using tags to find events that you can go to and find some, even like not clients, maybe similar fields, like some businesses from the same field, and you can communicate. You can see webinars also. You can find some useful blog posts. LinkedIn has also like as separate knowledge, like not knowledge base, but their post as well, like an academy, like for businesses, divided into different topics. So your first step and guide, from my view, create good profile, go search for some partners or relatable players in the industry and try to connect with them, but not be too pushy. uh, go to events with the similar businesses and industries, and never give up because it's not an easy process, but you should believe in yourself, and then your business will flourish. And stay positive, of course.
So inspiring. Thank you. Great. So it seems you have covered all the questions, and it's almost time to finish. Maybe you have anything to add or highlight before we end?
Um, Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's new for me, and I'm so glad that I can see people who are interested in the same things. Thank you, Sendpulse, so much that you're doing a great thing. You have so many webinars. I saw like almost every of your webinar. It's very useful information and for free. So I'm just grateful that we exist, that B2B sphere exists, B2C, that we can share our experience, thoughts, and never give up, as I said, and keep going, keep pushing, and keep getting more revenue. So thank you so much. It's a great ending for me of the day.
Sophia, thank you very much. Thank you for your ideas, for insights, for sharing a lot of information, techniques, and some ideas how to protect your account on LinkedIn. Guys, connect with Sophia, follow Sendpulse social media, and let's stay in touch. Our viewers send thanks, loved it into the live chat. Nigel, our previous speaker, an insightful and and content-rich presentation. Sophia, thank you both for the presentation. Now to unpack all the ideas and concepts. Great. Thank you guys all for joining us today. We appreciate your time. Keep an eye on our social media for updates on future webinars and events. We look forward to having you join us again. Thank you and have a wonderful week ahead. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.